our normal our common opponent is Cardinal Mooney. St. Joe lost to Cardinal Mooney 27-20, and Canfield beat them 24-14. I don't have any individual information on these teams, but I will say this: Canfield has been a bear all season, but it seems like the last few weeks of the season they started to drop off a little bit. And I think Villa Angela St. Joe has hit their stride. So I'm going to go with St. Joe in this one. They've been scoring a ton of points, and they seem to be on a roll right now. Division 3, Region 9, the other semifinal game involves the number 6 seed Akron East. And Akron East will be taking on the CVCA Royals, who are 10-0. Akron East is 10-2. Akron East comes out of the Akron City League, while CVCA comes out of the North Coast Conference up here in Northeast Ohio. Last week, Akron East beat Hawken 36-16, and CVCA beat Geneva 42-7. Akron East is averaging 25 points per game. They're giving up 15 a game, while CVCA is scoring 42 a game and giving up only 8 a game. Key players for each team: quarterback Marlon Ingram is averaging 201 total yards or total offensive yardage per game. And then for CVCA, quarterback Charlie Levick is averaging 115 yards total offense per game. I like CVCA in this game. They've been tough all year. Their defense does not give up many points, and I think Akron East is going to find it hard to score on CVCA. Okay, let's jump over to Region 10 and Division 3. This matchup has the number 5 Rocky River Pirates 10-2. They're going to be taking on the number 1 ranked Buckeye Bucks out of Medina. They are 11-0. Both teams play in the Cleveland West Conference, and they faced each other earlier in the year, which was one of Rocky River's 2 losses. Rocky River beat Revere last week 23-14, while Buckeye beat St. Mary's Memorial. Statistically, Rocky River scoring 37 a game while giving up 14. Buckeye scoring 36 a game while giving up 13. When you look at the playoff records, Rocky River is 4-2 against playoff teams, while Buckeye is 6-0. I'm leaning towards Buckeye again, although I think it's going to be a close game. I think it was decided by less than 7 when they played before, and it seems to me that Buckeye hasn't shown any let up, so I'm going to go with Buckeye in that one. In Division 3, Region 10, we've got the 6th-ranked Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish at 8-4. They're going to take on the number 2-ranked Wapakoneta Redskins, who are 11-0. Central Catholic plays in the Detroit Catholic League, and if you don't know anything about that league, that is probably Michigan's preeminent conference. It's kind of like the Greater Cincinnati Conference, or the Catholic Conference in Cincinnati. And then Wapakoneta plays in the always tough Western Buckeye Conference. Last week, Toledo Central Catholic beat Lexington 49-18, while Wapakoneta beat Lima Shawnee 41-16. Toledo Central Catholic is averaging 31 points a game, giving up 15, while Wapakoneta is scoring 39 a game while giving up 14. The only key player I could find information on is the quarterback for Wapakoneta is Caleb Moyer. He is averaging 170 yards passing per game. Central Catholic was 5-4 against playoff teams, and Wapakoneta is 4-0. Toledo Central Catholic's been in the Division III state championship the last 3 years in a row, winning 2 of those and losing last year to Bishop Watterson. I got to go with Toledo Central Catholic here. I think they've hit their stride, and I see the Fighting Irish winning that game. Okay, jumping over to Division III Region 11, we've got the 4th-ranked Tri-Valley Scotties. Al knows those guys pretty well. They're 9-2. They're taking on the number 1 ranked Bishop Watterson Eagles, who are 10-0. Tri-Valley comes out of the Muskingum Valley Big School Division, while Bishop Watterson plays in the Central Catholic Conference in Columbus. Last week, Tri-Valley beat Hamilton Township 41-17, while Bishop Watterson beat Granville 56-0. Statistically, Tri-Valley scores 39 points a game and gives up 19, while Bishop Watterson scores 48 and gives up only 7. Bishop Watterson is the 2024 state champions in Division III, so they are defending their title. Players to watch, the ones I found for Watterson were Drew Belisari. If that name sounds familiar, he is the son of, I'm not sure if it's Greg Belisari or Steve Belisari, which one. Al, do you know which one Drew's related to?
I do not.
Okay. Well, Drew Belisari has some Ohio State ties there. He's averaging 217 yards per game of total offense. And then we've got defensively Ben Ulenek. And if that name sounds familiar, Ulenek is an Ohio State name also. He's averaging 12 tackles a game. They have one common opponent. Tri-Valley lost to Grandview 30-21, while Watterson beat Grandview 56-0. Tri-Valley is 6-1 against playoff teams, while Bishop Watterson is 5-0. I see Watterson holding serve here. I don't think they will get beat in this game. So I see Bishop Watterson advancing. In the other half of this division is Division III Region 11's third-ranked team, the Steubenville Big Red at 8-2. They're going to be taking on the number 2-ranked Licking Valley team, who is 11-0. Steubenville comes out of the Ohio Valley 5A Conference, while Licking Valley plays in the Licking County Conference. Last week, Steubenville beat Buckeye Valley 51-21, while Licking Valley beat Bloom Carroll 31-24. Statistically, Steubenville's averaging 35 points a game while scoring, or giving up, I'm sorry, they're averaging 35 a game, giving up 23. Bloom Carroll is averaging 41 a game while giving up 13. As no individual stats, Steubenville has won 8 straight games since losing to Indian Valley 30-0. And they also beat Cardinal Mooney in overtime 27-24. They are 2-1 against playoff teams. Licking Valley is 2-0 against playoff teams. So I'm leaning towards the Big Red here. They've been on a roll. I think they may continue with that. So I'm going to go with Steubenville. And in my last region, Region 12, we've got the 4th-ranked Jackson Ironmen 9-2. They'll be taking on the number 1-ranked London Red Raiders, who are 11-0. Jackson plays in the Frontier Conference, while London plays in the Central Buckeye Kenton Trail Division. Jackson's averaging 36 a game while giving up 18. London is averaging 39 while only giving up 6 a game. Player to watch is running back Bryson Toronto from the Red Raiders. He's averaging 113 yards rushing per game. Here's an incredible statistic about London. They have, during the course of the season, they had 6 straight shutouts. Wow. And so records against playoff teams, Jackson was 6-1, London was 5-0. In games decided by 7 or less against playoff teams, Jackson was 2-0 and London was 1-0. Guys, I just don't see London getting beat. their defense is lights out. They made it. They lost to Bishop Watterson last year in the semifinals, and it seems like they're on a roll. And they beat Cincinnati McNichols last week 17-14. And so that I'm leaning towards London in that game. And then in the last game in my division, we've got Division 3, Region 12, the third-ranked Hamilton-Baden Rams at 10-1. They're going to take on the second-ranked Tippecanoe Red Devils, who are 11-0. Hamilton-Baden comes out of the Greater Catholic North League, and then we have Tippecanoe coming out of the Miami Valley. Hamilton beat Archbishop Alter 35-28 in their last week playoff game, while Tippecanoe beat Talawanda 55-7. Hamilton is averaging 38 points a game while giving up 18, and we've got Tippecanoe giving up or scoring 44, but only giving up 5 points a game. Players to watch: quarterback Larkin Thomas for Tippecanoe is averaging 263 yards total offense. Wide receiver Willie Strong is averaging 132 yards receiving. And defensive standout for them is Colin Isaac, who averages 11 tackles per game. Baden is 3-1 against playoff teams, while Tippecanoe is 5-0. I'm leaning towards Tippecanoe, guys. They've been blasting people all season, and it just doesn't seem like they're going to stop at this point. So that's a wrap for me with Division 3, and I'm going to hand the baton off over to Al, and Al, let you jump in there for Division 6.
All right. Well, Division 6, Region 21, we have Kirtland Hornets, who last week beat Wycliffe 41-3. And they're going to go up against the Smithville Smithies. Still love that nickname, one of my favorite nicknames in the state, who are 10-2. Kirkland, I don't even see this game being close, unfortunately, for Smithville. I'm not sure that they'll even break a sweat in this one. But I'm riding out with Kirkland and their offense, and just overall, they're just good all three phases.
Yeah. I agree.
Next, we have Sugar Creek, the Garaway Pirates, who last week beat Columbiana 34-0. The Pirates are 8-2. They were short a game during the season, but they're 8-2. And they go up against the Dalton Bulldogs, who are 9-3. Dalton beat Columbia Station last week, 34-15. And again, in this one, I definitely are rolling with the Pirates. They're in that same conference with Indian Valley, and that's just a tough conference. They're loaded this year.
Yeah, the IVC.
Yeah, that's just crazy how that conference has come on.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Ridgewood got beat last week, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. That was Region 21. And Region 22, we have the Cary Blue Devils, who are 8-4. And last week, they beat the first school I ever coached football at Castelia Margaretta, the Polar Bears. And they beat them 35-7 last week. And they're going up against the Paulding Panthers. And I'm not sure if you know where Paulding is or been out that way, but I mean, you're literally a stone's throw from Indiana when you're in Paulding.
I was the head coach at Paulding for 1 year there, Al.
Oh, geez.
I am familiar with the Panthers.
There's a lot of wagons running around down there in those highways.
A lot of things running around out there. Good
Everything
people,
with tumbleweed.
Yeah,
very good people.
Very good people out there.
Paulding last week beat the Fairview Apaches out of Sherwood. Used to love that team because they used to throw up basketball scores, win or lose, in the 90s when I first heard of them. But I'm with this one. I'm probably going to go with Cary. One of my buddies down there, and he was telling me how they run a Maryland Eye the whole game. And they have 3 big running backs, and your defensive players just have to figure out who's gonna run through them first.
I do have
But
to
he
say,
just
I've
said
seen,
they're kind of their losses were from bigger schools, but they
right.
in this division they're going they'll probably go another game or two in the playoffs. And next we have Hopewell Loudon, the Chieftains, who are 10-1.
Hmm.
Last week they beat Collins Western Reserve 42-6, and they'll be going up against the Archbold Blue Streaks, who are 8-2, who last week beat Seneca East 44-12. I'm going to go with Hopewell and Hopewell Loudon with Chieftains in this one,
Okay.
and I think it'll be close though. Archbold, they've had some good athletes. They mostly go and play for the team up north when they do, but that's a small but really good school district with some good athletes.
Definitely a good league out there.
Yes. In Region 23, we have the Centerburg Trojans, who last week beat Ridgewood. I think we were both surprised by that, but they beat them 28-14.
Yep.
And they'll be going up against the North Robinson Colonel Crawford Eagles. I'm gonna pick Colonel Crawford in this one. I know the coach real well, who used to be the head coach, the principal, and then he was the superintendent, and he stayed the head coach, which is
That's
unusual.
crazy.
Yeah. And I think he stepped down as the head coach, but now he's the defensive coordinator. But I think Colonel Crawford will pull this one out. I think it'll be an upset, and they'll pull it out.
Okay.
And the next one we have is Fort Fry Cadets. They're just north of Marietta, and they beat Caldwell out of Noble County 28-14 last week. And they go up against the West Jefferson Rough Riders, who are 10-1. And the Rough Riders actually pulled off a really close game and beat Toronto and beat them 21-20. I've seen Fort Fry this year. They're tough. They're a single wing T team. They're every year they're good, and
Right.
very small town on the Ohio River, or actually on the Muskingum River. And I just think those kids, man, they're tough river rats. But I see the Cadets pulling it out for Fort Fry.
Okay.
And then we have in Region 24, we have the team I hadn't heard of before, but the Tri Village Patriots, who are 11-0.
Yeah, the school's only had football for about 10 years. They just started the program.
Yeah. So they beat Portsmouth handily last week. Portsmouth West beat them 54-22. It wasn't really that close. And they actually go up against the Coldwater Cavaliers, who beat St. Bernard Elmwood Place 38-0. This was kind of a toss-up for me. When I was at Perkins, we ended up, after the year after we won state, Coldwater was the one that knocked us out.
Okay.
And it's hard to go against anybody in that conference. I think it's the GMAC is what.
Yeah, the Midwest Ohio League, but yeah, it's tough.
But I'm gonna go with the Patriots on this one.
Okay.
From Tri Village. They have an impressive record, and the teams they beat have been pretty good. So I just think they can pull it off. And the Cavaliers seem like they're down this year, but I think that'll be the end of the road for Coldwater this weekend.
Okay.
And then we have the Northeastern Jets out of Springfield, Ohio. They're 10-1. They beat Rock Hill 59-0. And they'll go up against the Anna Rockets, who are 9-3. And Anna Rockets beat Mechanicsburg 45-12. And I'm going to go with the Northeastern Jets out of Springfield.
Okay.
Again, they've had a good um, they had a good schedule and kind of rolled right through it. So I think that they're going to, they're going to do well. But they'll definitely win this weekend.
Al, you going to a game this weekend?
Yep, I'm actually going to go see Nelsonville. They travel up to Columbus Academy,
Right, right.
Okay.
and I've never been. I've been all around. I didn't realize that school was back in that corner off of Hamilton Road. So I'm actually going to go and check out the campus. We're going to get there early and kind of walk around their campus and see what they have there. It looks really good. It looks like a small D3 campus.
Nice, nice.
So
Well, give us a report on that Friday. Let us know how things go over there.
I sure will.
Okay. And Doug, let's jump into you. I think this is going to work out because we got Dwayne scheduled at 8, so you can jump in this slot and we'll get you going.
Okay. Well, in Division Two, or Division Two is tough all the way around. We've talked about this before, and the region, some of these regions, picking teams it's really difficult. Because I've seen it and followed most of the ones, especially up here in Northeast Ohio, and
Right.
we get some great matchups coming up this week and next. So we'll start off with Region 5. Region 5, our first game is again the number 5 ranked Hudson Explorers at 10-2 from out of the Suburban National Conference, and they are going and traveling, taking on the Archbishop Hoban Knights. Archbishop Hoban is 9-1 on the season. They were the 2024 state uh, semifinalist in Division Two. They are currently ranked as Max Prep's number 3 team in Ohio. Last week, Hudson won against 4-seeded Uniontown Lake, 14-12, and uh, the Hoban Knights ended up beating 9th-seeded Youngstown Boardman 38-0. Hudson is averaging 28 points a game. They're giving up only about 11. They have lost only 2 games in the season at 10-2. Those two teams that they lost to are both still undefeated. They lost to Wadsworth, and they lost to Avon, this defending state champion. So they have had a very impressive run this year. They tend to do it mostly on defense. Um, they're led defensively by linebackers Nathan Judy, who has 98 tackles, 8 for a loss, 4 sacks, and 1 interception. Also, Joe Canty, 103 tackles, 1 fumble recovery. And then Brennan Funyak, 92 tackles, 11 for a loss, 1 sack, and 1 interception with 2 forced fumbles. They have their signature win during the year. They beat Nordonia in week 9. This is the second time they had played Nordonia. Nordonia was 6-2 at that time. They won in 2 overtimes, 42-35. They have a record against playoff teams of 6-2. Um, Nordonia ended up finishing the season at 8-4. And then we look at Hoban. In Hoban's case, they score 31, almost 32 points a game. They're giving up 16. Last week, injured quarterback Nick Kenzie, who's 67 for 127 for 1,045 yards and 10 touchdown passes. He's missed the last 3 games. Last week, wide receiver Peyton Cook served as quarterback. He was 11-17 for 150 yards and a touchdown. And running back Braylon Feister has 97 carries for 870 yards and 14 touchdowns on the year. It sounds like Kinsey may be back. Nick Kinsey may be back. He was in reserve last week, but we're waiting to find out whether or not Kinsey will play. If not, Cook will be the quarterback. Against playoff teams, Hoban is 7-1. Their signature win came this year during week 9 when they defeated St. Edward 24-20, and St. Edwards is currently the number 4 ranked team in Ohio, according to Max Preps. Between these two, I really think, you know, Hudson has had a great season. Unfortunately, we saw a game. Bill, you and I went to the game and watched them get one of their defeats against Wadsworth, and Wadsworth basically blew off Hudson off the line. Hudson's kind of a smaller team, and I think that knowing Hoban and a few of the recruits that they have on their offensive line, I think the same thing's going to happen. I think Hoban's going to win that game.
Yeah.
In the other game in Region 5, we have the number 3 Austin Town Fitch Falcons at 9-1. And they last week defeated the 11th seeded Uniontown Green 28-25. They are going and traveling to Cuyahoga Falls to take on Walsh Jesuit Warriors, who are 9-1. Walsh is currently ranked number 10 in Ohio, according to Max Preps, and they won last week against the 8th seeded Nordonia 49-18. Fitch is averaging 28 points a game, giving up about 11. Walsh is scoring 34 points a game and giving up only 8.5 on average. These two teams have met in the postseason the last 2 years. In both cases, Walsh has won. So Walsh won in last year 42-28, and then in 2023 they won 58-21. In Fitch's 28-25 win against Green last week, Fitch junior running back DeAndre Richard rushed 29 times for 165 yards and 3 touchdowns. Walsh is currently dealing with uncertainty at quarterback after junior starter David Ternowski suffered an injury late in the first half of last week's game. Ternowski and backup junior Ben Bile threw 2 touchdown passes each against Nordonia. Walsh senior running back Marty Tobin compiled 13 carries and 268 yards. So he basically was averaging about 20 yards a game. And he had scored 3 touchdowns and had 1 catch for a 25-yard touchdown against Nordonia. Fitch has a record against playoff teams of 5-1 on the year, and same with Walsh. They have a 5-1 record against playoff teams. The signature win for Austin Town Fitch came in week 4 against Paintsville Riverside, who was 3-0 at the time. They won 17-15 in that game. Riverside made the playoffs. They finished at 7-4. And Walsh, their signature win came in week 1 when they knocked off Toledo Central Catholic 17-14. And right now, Central Catholic, who's still in the playoffs, and we just talked about it a few minutes ago, they are the 22nd ranked team in the state of Ohio, according to Max Preps. I'm going with Walsh Jesuit on this one. So it looks like everybody's going to hold serve here. The two top teams are going to meet just like they did last year for the regional final.
Okay, Doug, let me do a shout out here. A shout out to Colleen Mohan, Mike Tren, Sue Ford, and Greg Henning. Thanks for tuning in and watching us tonight. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, now we're going to travel to Region 6, and this one is a real tough region. We have the first game. We have the number 4 North Ridgeville Rangers at 10-1, traveling to and taking on Medina Highland Hornets, who are 11-0. North Ridgeville comes out of the Southwestern Conference, where they finished second to Avon. Last week they beat the 5th-seeded White House Anthony Wayne by a score of 42-7, and Highland comes out of the Suburban League American Conference, and they defeated the 8th-seeded Drexel Broadview Heights Bees by a score of 38-7. This is a regional quarterfinal rematch from 2023, in which Highland won 28-7. North Ridgeville is averaging 32.5 points per game. They're giving her up just over 20 points per game. Highland, on the other hand, is scoring 42.5 points per game, giving up just under 5 per game. The Rangers average 381 yards on offense per game, and they are led by first team All Northeast Inland Lakes District quarterback Cole Miller, who is 121 for 223 passes, 1,473 yards, 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He also carried the ball 156 times for 1,559 yards. That's a 9.9 yard average. He scored 18 running touchdowns. Now, Highland is a Suburban League American Conference are led by the co-defensive player of the year in that league, Evan Faust, who has 55 tackles, 13 for a loss. He's had 2 fumble recoveries. Defensive back Nick Dobkowski has 6 interceptions, and Jameson Gordon has 52 tackles, 9.5 for a loss. He has 5 pass breakups and 2 interceptions, and Dan Miller has 28 touchdowns, 28 tackles, 28 tackles, 11.5 for loss. He has 3 fumble recoveries and scored 1 touchdown off a fumble recovery. That unit has given up, their defense has given up just 49.5 yards rushing and 152 total yards per game. They're a beast defensively. They have one common opponent between them. Both teams won against Avon Lake. That was in week 8 for North Ridgeville with a win of 31 to 14. And for Highland, they played Avon Lake in week 3 to beat them 34 to 7. The signature win for North Ridgeville was against Berea Mid Park in week 7. Berea Mid Park was 4-2 at that time. They won 20 to 14. Berea Mid Park made the playoffs, but they were beaten and they finished at 7-5. The highlight for Highland was when they played Hudson in week 2. Hudson was 1-0 at that time, and they defeated Hudson 20 to 14. Hudson, which we talked about in Region 5, is 10-2 and still playing. I look at this game as basically defense wins championships. Highland's going to win. I do like North Ridgeville because they finished second to Avon, which is the defending state champion. They gave Avon a game, and I think that they're a good team. Unfortunately, they're running into another big powerhouse. And the other side of the bracket in this region, we have the number 3 Avon Eagles at 10-1, and they are the defending state champions in Division 2. They are currently ranked as Max Prep's number 19 team in Ohio, and they are traveling to the number 2 ranked in the region, Wadsworth Grizzlies, who are 11-0, and they are currently ranked number 14 in Ohio by Max Preps. Last week, Avon defeated 6-seeded Olmsted Falls 46 to 13, and Wadsworth defeated 7th-seeded Toledo St. Francis de Sales 34 to 6. Give me a sec. And this is a regional semifinal rematch from last season. Avon defeated Wadsworth 41 to 10 last season. Avon is averaging 41 points a game. They're giving up 11. Wadsworth is scoring 48.5 points per game, and they're giving up around 11.5 points per game. The Eagles are led by the Avon Eagles are led by All Northeast Ohio Lakes Offensive Player of the Year, senior quarterback Blake Elder, who is 144 for 210 pass attempts, for 2,391 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. The first team all district wide receiver Grant Barr has 52 receptions for 846 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 2 2-point conversions. Wadsworth is led by Suburban League National Conference Offensive Player of the Year running back Gavin Madigan, who has 102 carries, 1,102 yards, 21 touchdowns, and he is also supported by another 1,000-yard runner, Cooper Gray, who had 142 carries for 1,131 yards and 17 touchdowns on the ground. If you pay too much attention to the running attack, then Wadsworth can turn around and attack you by the air by the use of sophomore quarterback Bryson Hall, who is 115 for 174 passing. He has 2,271 yards and 27 touchdowns with just 2 interceptions. They also have a wide receiver, Calix Lemp, 41 catches, 971 yards, 15 touchdowns. Those guys complement them really well. Bill, you and I saw Wadsworth against Hudson, and Wadsworth really dominated that game offensively at the line of scrimmage.
And
if the weather turns bad, I would put my money on Wadsworth, because that 1-2 punch of Gray and Madigan they're tremendous running backs. They did not have an answer for Madigan. Hudson did. However, we are talking about Avon being the defending state champion. This one for me is too close to call. I would love to see Wadsworth win, because I think they're an up and coming team. Unfortunately, their running backs are 2 seniors, so if they don't do it this year, they may not do it next year. So in this region, I look at Highland being a winner, and I'm gonna pick Wadsworth as the other one.
Doug, the wide receiver for Wadsworth, the Lemp kid, he's also an Air Force recruit, which we've documented through the season. We've got Grady Kinsey at Indian Valley as a commit to Air Force. We've got the quarterback at Shelby a commit to Air Force. And although this kid hasn't committed, Air Force is real close to getting this kid from Wadsworth. So some kind of Air Force connection here in Northeast Ohio.
There must be. They must have Air Force people in the area, and they're telling them all about all the big stars we have in Ohio. Well, Air Force is going to reap the benefits. They got all 3 of those kids.
That's for sure. Okay.
Okay, now we're in region 7, and in this region, we start off with the number 4 team, the Canal Winchester Indians, at 10-1. They come out of the Ohio Capital Conference Buckeye Division, and they are traveling and taking on Sunbury Big Walnut, the Golden Eagles, at 10-1, and they are from the Ohio Capital Division of the Capital Conference. Last week, Canal Winchester defeated 5th-seeded Westerville South 28-21, and Big Walnut defeated 8th-seeded Columbus Walnut Ridge 43-0. Canal Winchester is averaging 42.5 points a game, and they're getting up to about 22.5. Big Walnut is scoring 38 points per game and giving up just 8. Again, I tend to go with teams that have defense, and we'll look into that here in a second. Against Westerville South last week, Canal Winchester quarterback Quentin McGee completed 10 of 18 for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. Winchester's offense leaned on its ground game with running backs Jabari Snow and Torian Brooks leading the way. Snow finished with 84 yards and a touchdown, and on 17 carries, and Brooks added 51 yards on 10 carries. For Big Walnut in their game against Walnut Ridge, the defense held Walnut Ridge to just 25 yards rushing on 157 total yards, forcing 4 turnovers. Defensive back Brady Taylor led the suffocating defensive effort with three interceptions. Offensively, running back Nolan Burley, who was there with them last year, rushed for 219 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a 65-yard score to open the game. Quarterback Eli Stump threw for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Canal Winchester has a record against playoff teams of 4-1 on the year, and Big Walnut has a record of 5-1 against playoff teams. They both have two common opponents that are Groveport Madison and Westerville South. Both teams beat both of them. For Winchester, they beat Groveport Madison in week 10, 28-21. And for Big Walnut, they beat Groveport Madison in week 3, 36-10. Westerville South was the game in week 12 for Canal Winchester. That was last week's game, and they won 28-21 in that one. And Westerville South was in week 5 against Big Walnut, and they won 28-7. The signature games that I usually focus on during the season, both teams, their signature wins were against Westerville South. So they're very similar in terms of who they've played, who they've beaten. But I'm going with Big Walnut on this one, which will set up probably the matchup I see coming down the road in the next round. And Big Walnut last year knocked off Massillon, and then I'm looking for them to win to get back and have a chance at Massillon. The other game in the region, in this region, is the number 3 ranked Massillon Washington Tigers at 8-3. They are an independent team, and they are taking on Columbus St. Francis de Sales. The Stallions are out of the Central Catholic League, where they finished second of the 4 teams in that league. Last week, Massillon defeated 6th-ranked North Canton Hoover 62-7, and in the case of St. Francis de Sales, they knocked off 7th-seeded Ashland 33-29. For Massillon, juniors, they were led by a bunch of juniors, especially on offense. So quarterback Manuel Patterson is 103 for 154 passing attempts for 1,313 yards and 19 touchdowns. Running back Xavier Owens has 1,079 yards and 15 touchdowns. And wide receivers Gio Jackson, Deontay Malone have combined for 81 catches and 994 yards and 15 touchdowns. For DeSales, their key players, they are loaded with skill on offense. They feature junior quarterback Ryan Day, who is the son of Ohio State's head coach, Ryan Day, and they have senior running back Jonathan Brown to help him out. Day is a third-year starter. He's just a junior, so he's thrown for more than 2,500 yards in 2025. 500 of those coming last week in last week's game against Ashland. Brown has attracted and is committed to the University of Michigan with more than 12 yards. I agree with you on that one. He has more 1,200 yards as a junior, and what attracted Michigan to him is he has a sub 4.6 second 40-yard dash and a 40-inch vertical leap. Playoff records: Massillon is 4-2 against playoff teams, and in terms of DeSales, they're 6-2 against playoff teams. The signature win for Massillon this year was in week 5 when they knocked off St. Edwards. They were St. Ed's was 4-0 at that time. They beat them 21-14, and again, St. Ed's is ranked number 4 in the state of Ohio. That was their big win. The signature win for DeSales was against Harrison, who was 6-2. entering week 9. They beat them 23-21. Harrison is still in the playoffs, um, and they are 9-3. So looking at this, I really think that as I look at the two teams, I think DeSales is a really good team, but I look at the teams that Maslin played, and they played a wide variety of teams from a lot of different states. Um, so I think that they're going to be the team to beat. So Maslin's, I think, is going to win this game, and I think they're going to face Big Walnut in the finals. Uh, so
Okay.
they're going to get revenge for getting picked off. And finally, the fourth region in Division Two, we go down to the south end of the state, and we start off with number 5, Cincinnati LaSalle. The Lancers out of the Greater Catholic South League are going and traveling to Cincinnati Anderson to take on the Raptors. The Raptors were the Division II state runners up last year in an epic battle against Avon. It was a great game. And a lot of those guys that played for Anderson last year are back. Currently, Anderson is ranked number 2 in Ohio by Max Preps. And they come out of the Eastern Cincinnati League. Um, Last week, Anderson won and defeated 8-seeded Cincinnati Withrow 29-6, and LaSalle beat 4th-seeded Xenia 14-7. This is going to be a rematch between LaSalle and Anderson of last season's regional final, which was won by Anderson 28-21. Um, Sophomore quarterback Garrett Fraley filled in for the injured starter Xavier Carter at quarterback and threw 2 touchdown passes in the first half. Carter went out sometime during the first quarter. Haven't heard whether or not he's expected to be back or not. He threw a 17-yarder to senior wide receiver Terry Lester and a 12-yard strike to senior wide receiver Drew Dupinski in that game. He also contributed 59 yards rushing as part of the ground game. LaSalle defense held Xenia to just 135 total yards and limited their offense to 0 points. And Xenia's lone score came on a defensive interception. What may have impacted that game is that game had a lot of fog and may have had some effect on the results of that game. Anderson last week, quarterback Owen Scalf entered last week's game with Withrow with 3,700 yards total, 3,307 passing, 415 rushing. He has 39 touchdowns, 29 of those through passing, 6 through rushing for the season. He threw for a 38-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Tyson Weaver. Weaver entered the Withrow game with 53 catches, 878 yards on the season, and 15 touchdowns. Playoff record-wise, we have a 6-3 record against playoff teams that LaSalle has faced, and Anderson is a perfect 7-0 against playoff teams that they face. They both have common opponents in Cincinnati Withrow and in Cincinnati Turpin. Both teams are winning both of those games. The signature win for LaSalle was against Cincinnati Withrow during week 5. Withrow was 4-0. They beat them 35-6, 35-26, excuse me. And Withrow finished in the playoffs, but got beat, and they finished at 8-3. And for Anderson, their signature win came in week 9 against Cincinnati Winton Woods, who was 7-1 going into that game, and Anderson defeated them 35-26. Winton Woods made the playoff. They got beat, and they finished the season at 9-3. Quite frankly, I don't think anybody's going to beat Anderson in this region, and so I pick Anderson on this one. They have just been a force to deal with. They have a great offensive scheme, and I expect them to be back in the state final in all likelihood. In the other game, we have the number 7 Harrison Wildcats, from who are 9-3 from Southwest Ohio Conference, and they are traveling to take on Trotwood Madison Rams, who are 7-3. Again, Trotwood Madison didn't quite have as many games scheduled as you would normally expect, but we're last week Harrison defeated uh, second-ranked Kingsville Kings 35-31 in an upset, and Trotwood Madison last week defeated sixth-seeded Lima Senior 55-12. Harrison is averaging 32 points per game, giving up almost 15. Trotwood Madison is averaging almost 30 points per game and giving up 15. Last week's game, Harrison quarterback Brady um, entered the last week's game against Kingsville Kings with 2,412 total yards, 1,778 passing, 643 rushing, and 35 touchdowns, 22 passing, and 10 rushing on the season. Against Kings, wide receiver Christian Rother was a key target in the passing game, catching 2 touchdown passes, including the game-winning score with less than a minute left in the game. Running back Preston Flick was also a dominant force in that game with 23 carries, 144 yards, and he scored 2 touchdowns. For Trotwood Madison, couldn't find a whole lot about last week's game or about them in general. They are making their 21st playoff appearance, their 6th consecutive. They were state semifinals in 2014 and 2015, were state runners-up in 81, 2010, 2012, and 13. 2016, they were also state champs in 2011, 2017, and 2019. So they have a great history against teams that they played that made the playoffs. Harrison is 3-3, and against playoff teams that they played during the regular season, Trotwood Madison is 5-3. They have one common opponent. That was Cincinnati Mount Healthy. Both teams defeated them. Harrison defeated Mount Healthy 51-13, and Trotwood Madison defeating them 34-0. The signature game during the regular season for Harrison was against Oxford Talawanda during Week 8. Talawanda came in at 7-0, and Harrison beat them 14-0. Talawanda made the playoffs. They have since been beat. They finished at 10-2. And for Trotwood Madison, in Week 11, or the first week of the playoffs, they defeated Lima Senior, who was 9-2 at the time. They defeated them 35-26. Lima Senior finished the season at 9-3. This one to me is a toss-up because I don't really know that much about Trotwood Madison, though their schedule is pretty diverse. They travel around the state. They've gone to Indiana and played some teams, so they are a pretty good team. I'm going to lean towards Harrison here, but I think probably Trotwood Madison might be the team that ends up on the end. So I'm going to pick Harrison, but I think Trotwood has a good chance of winning.
Okay, thanks, Doug. So we're going to look at Division 4 here. We're going to give Dwayne a call. We're going to get him on. We won't have any video of Dwayne. We'll just have his voice. But we will Doug's not going to be able to go to a game this week, but I am going to try to get out to see Menor and Canton McKinley tomorrow night.
That would be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a good one. And let's see if we can get Dwayne going here.
Power on.
Hey, Bill, I did want to congratulate my alma mater,
Yeah.
Sandusky St. Mary's, for winning their 8-man state championship.
We heard that.
Yeah, we did.
That
hear
was
about that.
Hey, okay. Well, Al, we're gonna get back to you here in a second. Here we got Dwayne Henson on. Dwayne, how you doing tonight?
okay.
I'm doing pretty good. You kind of threw a curveball at me tonight, Bill. A little bit of missed out on my TV time.
Yeah, well, we'll get you on here next week and get you rolling. But
Sounds good.
so you got Division 4, which is one of like I said earlier, divisions 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. They tend to be the more interesting divisions this year, I think, with a lot of different teams that could win it. So why don't you jump in there and let us give us a sketch on who you think is going to win this week?
All right, Bill. Happy week 13. We are starting off in Region 13. We've got number one Perry, who comes in at 9-2. They are hosting West Branch, who comes in at 10-1. Last week, Perry took out Notre Dame Cathedral Latin 26-6, and West Branch beat Norton. A surprise to me, 35-14. I actually picked Norton in that one because they were rolling pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, this Perry team, they've been doing some great things, throughout the course of the season. Last 2 weeks, the defense has only yielded 16 points. And the offense is pretty dangerous if they can get going. They are led by their quarterback, Nate Schaeferzer. He's a dual threat. This past week, he was named All-District. Also, they have Trent Taylor, who's a big defensive lineman who had a really good game last week as a handful, and he is a BG commit.
Right.
In all total, this Perry team, they have 5 all-district players. So they've got some kids that come with some accolades, and can really get after it out there. West Branch, they're more of a balanced attack. Last week they had 175 yards passing and 128 yards rushing. They're led by Grady Hurst, who had 1 touchdown passing last week. Jeremiah Thomas, who is their Swiss Army knife guy, he had 124 all-purpose yards, and he even threw a pass last week, Bill. So he does it all.
Okay.
Last week, Zach Coffey was their player of the game. He's an offensive lineman and linebacker. Also, a good one to watch out for in this game is going to be Gavin Gregory. He was formerly a University of Toledo commit, so he got an offer from Bill Belichick in the Tar Heels and decommitted from UT.
Okay. Well.
So, this game I'm gonna go with Perry in this one.
Okay.
But I think it's gonna be a close game. So, West Branch is tough. Like I said, they upset Norton last week and held them at 14 points.
Okay.
On my next matchup in Region 13, I've got number 2 Glenville, who comes in at 8-3. They're taking on Lake Catholic, who comes in at 9-3 or 9-2. I'm sorry. Last week, Glenville beat Salem 49-0. And Lake Catholic beat Streetsboro in a surprise, 16-0. So actually shut them out, shut that offense down. For Glenville last week, first play of the game, CJ Newell took it to the house for 43 yards, and they never looked back. They scored 21 in the first quarter, and like I said, that one got out of hand and ended up being a running clock. And it was a tough week for Salem. But on defense, everybody knows the name Sincere Johnson, especially if you're a Buckeyes fan. Last week, he was named District Defensive Player of the Year. He comes in with 112 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, and 8.5 sacks. Lake Catholic, they've given up 256, they've scored 256 points, and they've given up 123. They're actually a better road team than they are at home. So hopefully that comes into play this week for them. If they can, grind it out on the ground, they'll have a chance to keep that ball out of that high-powered Glenville offense's hands, and they got a shot. They are led by Max Pisano at quarterback. He's got over 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. Peter McCluskey, another Swiss Army knife guy, and he does it on both sides of the ball. He leads the team in receiving and in tackles. So pretty handy guy to have on your team. Danny Zamorkowski, he's the leading rusher He's close to 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. So in this one, Bill, I'm going to go with Glenville.
Okay.
Like to see that Glenville Perry matchup next week. So this Glenville, this Glenville team, they're really tough. So
Yeah, Perry and Glenville have had some crazy games in the past. So
oh man, yes they have. Yes
Yeah.
they have, Bill. So on to Region 14, I've got Galleon, who comes in at 10-1. They're number 2 in the region versus Perkins, who is number 6 in the region, 9-3. And you actually got a chance to watch Perkins last week, Bill, and
yeah, they're good.
They're big up front, offensive and defensively.
Yes, they are.
Wise. Last week, Galleon beat Cloverleaf 41-10. This Galleon team, they've been really good all year. So they average 32.7 points per game on offense, and on defense, they're only giving up 10 points per game. So that defense is really going to need to step up to stop that high-powered Perkins offense. Galleon's defense, they've got 4 shutouts to their credit this year. Their lone loss was to Shelby, and it gave Shelby their closest game. They lost that game by 11. They are led by Aiden Schmidt, who is over 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns through the air, and Jacob Chambers, who has 600 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's got 43 tackles on defense. Also on defense, they've got a kid by the name of Cameron Kuhlman, who's, from what I understand, this kid's tough as nails, and he's over 130 tackles. So,
Okay.
on the other side, we got Perkins, who beat Napoleon in a surprise. 31-0. Napoleon just couldn't get it going last week.
It was never close.
Yeah, and like I said, and I had talked to one of the Perkins players last year, and he was just didn't think they were going to have a problem, but okay, he was right.
Yep.
This Perkins team, they've scored over 20 plus points in 8 straight games. They are averaging 39 points per game, and they're led by Sam Schleifer at QB, and he likes to throw to Blake Parker. That's his number 1 guy. Blake Parker's he's got a couple of Division I offers to play wide receiver, so we'll see how that turns out for him.
Right.
Also, on offense and defense, you got Braxton Martin, who is the heart of the defense, but he's a hard-nosed runner on offense as well. So,
Yeah, sure is.
Little fun fact about Braxton: last season he went to the state title game in football. He made it to state in wrestling, and they lost in the title game in baseball. So he made
Wow.
3 trips to 3 good runs at state last year. So.
Okay.
Again, like I said, Perkins, their offensive and defensive lines are big and physical. So this should be this is one of those ones that I hate to even call it. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but but again, if Perkins decides they want to air it out and see what they're going to get, it could get interesting. But I'm going to predict a low scoring game. And I'm going to give Perkins a slight edge in this one.
Okay.
On to the next matchup in Region 14. I've got number 1 Shelby, who comes in at 11-0. They are taking on number 4 Lima Bath, who comes in at 9-2. Shelby, their games haven't really been close this year, Bill. They beat Orville last week 42-0. And Lima Bath, they beat Bellevue 21-0. So you got both of these teams coming in off of shutouts on defense. So we'll see how it goes this year for this week for their defenses.
Right.
And the stats on Shelby this past year have been pretty amazing. They never won a state title, but they've got a good chance this year. So they average 46 points per game on offense, and they only give up 9 on defense. We've been talking about Braden DeVito all year. This kid, he produces 465 yards per game. He's got 430 4,650 total yards on offense, 2,650 passing, and 1997 rushing. So he's close to that 2,000-yard mark as a quarterback. Yeah, that's some pretty good rushing from a quarterback and passing. He accounts for 54 total touchdowns, and he's a favorite to win Mr. Ohio this year, Bill. So
Yeah.
Also, they've got Sam Gertz. He had 16 tackles last week, which gives him 105 total on the season. Bryce Sampson, he's got 96 tackles, and he's got 10 tackles for loss. And also, a couple names to watch in this one are Hunter Olney and Michael Shepard. On the other side, Bill, Lima Bath, they held the Red Man offense to 194 total yards. Zach Welch, he had 162 yards passing and 140 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey Hale, he had 11 catches last week, and he also had 82 yards rushing and 2 TDs. On defense, they got a couple kids that can take the ball away. Andrew McDermott, he leads the team in picks, and you got Liam Sullivan, who leads the team in tackles with 93. Yeah, this Lima Bath, it's going to be a big ask. I mean, to come out and shut down this Shelby offense is a big ask. So I got to go with Shelby in this one, and I'd love to see a Shelby Perkins matchup next week.
Or a Shelby Indian Valley matchup the next week.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I'll take a Shelby Valley matchup too.
That's true. Yeah.
So either way we go, we're going to see a good one next week.
Yep.
On the Region 15, we've got the aforementioned number 2, 10-0 Indian Valley.
Yep.
They're going to be taking on number 3 Jonathan Alder, who comes in at 10-1. Last week, Indian Valley, they beat Circleville 48-14, and Jonathan Alder beat Johnstown 42-21. Indian Valley, I mean, they haven't had a close ball game all year. Last week, Grady Kinsey had 188 yards and 3 touchdowns on 10 carries. He also had another 62 yards receiving and 1 touchdown there. On defense, you got Riker Williams. He led the team last week with 3 sacks. And on the season, Indian Valley scored 443 points, and they've only given up 105 on defense. They averaged 418 yards per game and 15 yards per carry, Bill. 15 yards per carry. So
yeah, and they do that, Dwayne, mostly with a running clock in a lot of their games because they get ahead so quickly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just see them line up and double tight and triple stack eye. I mean, they got a couple of different running formations they run out of, and it's just it's just hard-nosed football. Line up and try to stop us.
Sure.
On the other side, Jonathan Alder, they've got quarterback by the name of Brock Hughes. Last week he had 149 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. They also got a kid by the name of Caston Wheeler. He had 190 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. They average 30 points per game, and the defense is giving up 18 per game. So that's I think that defensive points per game average is going to go up a little bit this week. The defense is led by Caleb Wiltshire. He's got 90-plus tackles this year. Yeah, we're gonna go with Indian Valley on that one, Bill.
Yeah, I think so.
Jonathan Alder, they've had a great season, but I mean, looking up and down Division 4, man, you got some teams with some fabulous records, and you hate to see anybody lose, but man,
right.
it's wow. Unfortunately, somebody's got to lose.
Yep.
On to my next matchup in Region 15. I've got number 1 New Lexington, who comes in at 10-1 versus Unido. They are 11-0. Last week, New Lexington beat Fairfield Union 39-0, and they beat Columbus East 21-12. Got to watch a little bit of that ball game, and UNIDO team, they're good. They're good. They haven't had a close game all year. They've just been putting up the points. I looked at points for and points against. I mean, it was pretty amazing. They've scored 483 on the year. They've only given up 52. They've had obviously an 11-game win streak. Isaac Coy is their quarterback. He comes in with 112 QB rating. He's got 18 touchdowns on the year, completing 60% of his passes. And Cody Braden is their leading rusher. He had 150 last week. This kid, Bill, this kid's 6'2", 205, and he's got 24 total touchdowns, and he's a load to stop. I mean, him coming out of the backfield is just wow. It's fun to watch.
Right.
Also, kid by the name of Jackson Zickelfoos. He returns kicks. He's a wide receiver.
Take that somewhere else.
Magic plays with him. He's got 12 touchdowns on the year.
Come on, take that somewhere else.
Back to New Lexington. They've scored 407 points this year and given up 113. Their closest game this year was versus Sheridan. They had a 10-point win in that game, 31-21. They've got another big back on that side of the ball, offensive side of the ball. His name's Paul Swinson. He's 6'2", 205. So it's going to be the battle of the big backs in this one, Bill.
Right.
Last week, he averages 108 yards per game. He's got 24 total touchdowns on the year. They don't throw a whole lot. Their quarterback Lane Ratliff, he's got 8 touchdowns passing, and he averages 59 yards per game. They also got a senior kid by the name of Harrison Ratliff. He missed a few games, but he still led the team in tackles with 80. So this one, again, I think this one's going to be a low-scoring game, but I'm going to take New Lexington in this one. Stop UNIDO. So
Okay.
So that'll be interesting. You got that 1 versus 2 matchup I'm predicting for next week.
Okay.
All right. On the Region 16, we've got a rematch of the regional final game from last year. We've got, this could be a state final, a state championship game, Bill. We've got Indian Hill, number 1 Indian Hill, who's 11-0 versus Cincinnati Taft, who's 11-0. Again, it's a shame somebody's got to lose this, but unfortunately they do. Indian Hill beat Washington Courthouse last week, 57-14. On the year, they've scored 469 points, and they've only given up 55. So these two defenses right here, Bill. I mean, this is what you want to see if you're a defensive guy. Indian Hill, they pitched 5 shutouts. They've got a quarterback by the name of Daniel. Last week he had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. He also had 64 yards passing and 1 touchdown there. The defense for Indian Hill, they had 3 picks last week, and they've got a couple kids to watch. Topher Watchell, Luke Mitchell, Joey Jernigan, and Evan Riggs. They all had excellent games last week. So on the other side, this Taft team, they were tough last year.
Right.
So they lost some players, but they've got some young kids that are stepping up in a big way. They beat Clinton Massey last week, 44-7. So
wow.
I mean, wow. On the season, here's another one of those eye-popping stats, Bill. They've scored 520 points and they've given up 41. So I mean, wow. I mean, wow. Their closest game was in week 2. It was a 33-27. And this defense of Taft, they have pitched 8 shutouts.
Holy moly! 8 shutouts.
8 shutouts, Bill. 8 shutouts.
That is incredible.
Go ahead.
I said, that's incredible.
It is. I mean, it's got to be some kind of record with points scored and points allowed. I mean, and, you know, maybe not Division 1 or Division 2, but maybe in Division 4. So I'd like to look into that for next week and see.
Let me ask you guys, Al and Dwayne, you guys should probably know this. Wasn't there a season, and I don't know how many years back this goes, where Bellevue went the entire regular season undefeated, unscored upon?
Wow, that would have been a while ago.
Okay. Because I thought I'd seen that in some trivia thing about them going undefeated and unscored upon.
I wonder if that was in the Ed Nasani days or Terry King days.
I know they won the state
trying
championship.
I was trying to think of the coach before Nasani.
Terry King.
That would have been before or back when NOL had Bucyrus in it.
Yeah.
Was Terry King at Bellevue?
No, I'm sorry. He was at Willard. He was at Willard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought he was at Willard.
No, what was that guy's name? I can see his face.
I remember because Nasani came in '91 and replaced it. Yeah, it's gone.
Anyhow, I just wondered if you guys, I had heard that, and I was just trying to verify that they had actually done that.
Okay.
But they wouldn't have won state that year. I don't think. Do they have a state championship?
They don't. I know in '92 they went before the playoffs changed the format. They went 9-1 and didn't make the playoffs. I do know that for a fact. So,
maybe that might have been Clyde.
That won undefeated, unscored upon?
Yeah, that might have been Clyde. That might have been Bishop.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered, guys. That always was when I heard that, I thought, wow, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, that's that would be an amazing feat.
Yeah.
I mean, to do that week in and week out is pretty amazing.
Right.
Right now, as it sits, Taft is number 34 in the state in the overall rankings. And this is their first time being 11-0 in program history. They've got a quarterback by the name of Montana Torbert. He's over 1,800 yards passing and 27 total touchdowns. Last week, he had a 102-yard pick six. And they've got a sophomore wide receiver who's a five-star by the name of Lorenzo McMullen. He's 6'1", 170. He's got currently he's got 5 Division I offers and also one from Indiana. So
okay.
Be an interesting kid to watch if he ever pops up on the. Well, I'm sure he will pop up on the Buckeyes radar. So
sure.
All right, on to my final matchup in Region 16.
Who you picking, Dwayne, in that game?
Oh man, see, that's I'm gonna take Taft because of last year. I think they got unfinished business, and they're just gonna come out and just dominate the game.
Okay.
Even though Indian Hills Indian Hills tough, but man, that Taft team, they got some eye-popping numbers.
Okay.
Again, on to my next matchup, who I have number 2 Valley View, who's 10-1 versus Cincinnati Hills Christian. They are also 10-1. Last week, Valley View beat Wyoming. I didn't want to call that game last week, Bill, so don't feel bad. But
okay.
That was a tight ball game, 31-21.
Right.
They beat Wyoming. So there you go. And Cincinnati Hills, they beat Brookville 43-21. This Valley View team, they're going to run the ball. They're as a team, they're approaching 2,400 yards rushing. Caleb Brown at quarterback, he runs the ball quite a bit. Tyler Michael, Jeff Weasley-Jack, they're a two-headed monster in the backfield. They're over 1,000 yards rushing between the two of them. And last week I threw out a stat, 325 carries and no fumbles.
Wow. Yeah, I do remember you saying that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. On the other side, like I said, Cincinnati Hills, they beat Brookville 43 to 21. On the season, they've scored 416 points and they've given up 150. Their lone loss this year, Bill, was a head scratcher. They lost to a 4-6 sales team in week 2. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they must have been looking on to the next week. But ever since that loss, though, they've won 9 straight. Some of the players to watch in this one are quarterback Griffin Widener Richard and wide receiver Alex Wells. So I'm gonna take Valley View in that one since they took care of Wyoming last week. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll see if we can get that Valley View Taft matchup for next week.
Okay. Well, Dwayne, thanks for being on. We're going to get you caught up during the week so we get you in the broadcast. And
All right, sounds good, Bill.
I'll give you a call. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Talk to you later.
All right, take care.
Okay, guys. So that's a wrap. Any final comments there?
It'll be a great weekend for football.
Yeah. Yeah. We should have
Group.
some great games coming up. So we'll get ready. Al, have fun down there watching Nelsonville. We'll be contacting you. I'll be up at Menor, the Menor McKinley game, and we'll do this again next week.
Okay,
All right.
we'll see you.
See you guys
Thanks,
later.
guys. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
And that's it. Okay, Rick, thanks.